Hello, 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 everybody. Let's give it a few minutes. Let me see that viewer count. Let's see who's on. Is there anybody on? Is there ever anybody on? Is there anybody ever really there? Or are all you figments of my imagination? Oh, we've got three on. Yes. Well, at least we got three. At least I'm not talking to myself, which is always nice, but I get more sense out of myself. So thank you for coming. Let's have a look who's on. The Vegan Mooncat. Hello, Vegan Mooncat. Oh, we're up to five. Come on, let's keep it going. Share the love, people. Share the love. It's been a long time since I've done a live. Angerad's live. Really sorry can't be here. Just going wheelchair basketball. We'll check after if you are still live. We probably will because this Sky Morgan guy, he can talk for England. He's an American guy, you know. So let's have a look. Michael Askew. Yeah, I love Michael Askew. He's on all the streams. He's such a great supporter of the vegan YouTubers. He's on every single one. Michael Slack, hello there. Great to have you on board. Bernie V. Okay, the new, my friend. How are you? Entice the lyrical vegans here from New York. Yes, so happy you're here. The 40-year-old vegan. Come on, mate. You can't still be using the 40-year-old tag. Come on, be honest. Really? Hand of Hope. Yes, Vent. Hello. Easy, Tiger. Easy. So, guys, this is a chat with Skyjack Morgan, who runs quite a few social medias with the tag vegan, of course. Vegan, of course. Of course you've got to go vegan, of course. We're going to chat for an hour, and then it's going to be open mic time. What's open mic? I hear some of you ask who've not been on my channel before. Open mic is when you look in the chat, when I say there's a little thing there, a little link. Click that link and you can join the stream with us, with your phone, with your computer. You don't have to download anything. Click it, bang. I bring you on. Say whatever you want. Who's been to Vegan Camp Out this year? Laura, yes. Friendly Vegan on TikTok. Who's been to Vegan Camp Out? Tell us about your experience. Come on. If you're feeling a bit shy, you do not have to show your face. You do not have to click that camera. You can have the camera switched off and just have your voice. So please join us. Any questions, throw them in the chat or wait until it's the open mic and then come on with us and let's have a bit of a ding dong. Let's have a talk. Thomas Polk says, gutted I couldn't go to Camp Out. Yeah, I didn't go. I had to go to Cuba and starve myself, mate, but that's another story. Is Roger Yates here? Oh, God, he's here. He's here. He lowers the tone. He makes everybody miserable, but we've got to have him here. We've got to have him here. Right, listen, everybody. Skyjack Morgan. I came across this guy a couple of months ago. I noticed him on TikTok. I noticed him on Instagram. He does... Well, I'll tell you what. Let him tell you all about himself because he likes to talk, you know. And, of course, you'll be pleased to hear, guys, he is a massive Star Wars fan. So get all your Star Wars questions ready because he's such a geek when it comes to Star Wars. But anyway... A virtual round of applause, please, and let's bring on board this beautiful, compassionate, lovely man from the United States of America, Skyjack Morgan.
I'm here. Hey, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure, mate. Just let the people know a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Skyjack Morgan. I'm vegan, of course. Because what else would you be? And I do a daily show on youtube.com/vegan, of course, in the morning. For me, it's in the morning. I do an 8 a.m. morning show. I try to keep it light. It's like a vegan chat show. And on Sunday, we do a vegan Sunday school with Lauren, the vegan yoga mama, every Sunday. And that's at 1 p.m.
So what time does that air in the UK? Is it about 4 or 5 o'clock?
Something like that.
Yeah,
I think it's 3 or 4 o'clock. You were on it. What
yeah,
time did you
yeah.
roll out
I
of bed?
don't
I
know.
know you
That
don't
is in
roll
the
out of bed until
past.
like 3 or 4. So it's
I've slept since then. It's
yeah.
just like I don't have any past. I've only got a future. It's
That's
just really weird.
I like that. I'm always preaching hope on my channel, so I like to think of it like that. You know, let the past burn and let's look forward. A lot like Kylo Ren. You know, he always wanted to burn the past and only look toward the future. I know you're a huge Star Wars fan, and I love to hate Star Wars, so I know all about it. you know, I loved Star Wars growing up, but once Star Trek, you have to make a decision. It's gonna be Star Trek or you're gonna be Star Wars. I'm definitely Star Trek, but if anyone wants to talk Star Wars, I can keep up with you for sure.
You know what they say. All the good-looking people are Star Wars fans.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, I mean, come on.
They made an exception for you, huh? They
While we're here, guys, let's have a look at a few of Sky's pages, and then we'll jump into some convo and
You can
just
look at my pages.
Let's find all about you. So,
well, I mean, what happened? So what had happened was I started doing kind of more online vegan activism. I was in the restaurant and hospitality business for about 28 years. Yeah, that's just my homepage where I can sell some carny tears. My teacup, you can have carny tears on there.
I love those. I think it's a great thing to have those carny. Yeah, I love it. I love the way you just nonchalantly drink from your carny tears.
I always love it.
It's a great idea.
Well, I stole it from Ben Shapiro, didn't I? He's like got the liberal tears, and I'm like, no, I drink carny tears. That's what I do. These speciesist tears, I like to drink them because if we can't keep lighthearted about some of these things, then we'll just be dragged down all the time. And I think that there's a lot of hope when it comes to veganism. Oh, there's you. There you are.
Hello, motherfucker. The kid gloves are coming off and the knives are coming out. Grumpy Vegan Granddad is coming on youtube.com/vegan, of course, today at 8 a.m.
That's
I love it.
Not bad. Well, you loved, of course, you picked the one you were in. Huh?
I love that. Do you know I've been banned off TikTok permanently? I've got a permanent ban now.
Yeah, we were actually talking about you on my show because it's ridiculous that TikTok's constantly banning vegans,
And it's not as if I'm doing anything really sort of... What it is people report your posts.
Yeah.
And it seems like the gang mentality of reporting posts is enough to trigger a video being taken down. Then when it gets reinstated, which this is the bit I don't understand. When your video gets reinstated, they're saying, okay, this is not what it seems. It's okay. But you're still banned from commenting or interacting with any other TikTok user. It's just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but I think it makes sense, right? I mean, from TikTok's point of view, I mean, why bother? They don't care. They don't care about their users. They've got millions of them. And if you rock the boat a little bit, you're off. Like, they want to be a booty shaking app. That's what they wanted to be, right? They had no other... They want your data. They want you to shake your ass and give them your data. That's what they want.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. So guys, this is the YouTube. So
YouTube
please
channel, yeah.
go over, because Sky, it's very hard to start a YouTube channel. It's hard to get things rolling. You need people interacting with your channel to get it out there. You can't get more people until you get people. It's just a crazy sort of vicious circle you get into trying to get followers. So please go over after this stream, of course, unless you've got a couple of screens and you can do it simultaneously, and subscribe to Sky. It's some amazing content, some amazing chats. There's a few with Roger Yates, but you don't have to watch them if you don't want.
Roger Yates is actually, if you are a fan of Roger Yates, then you could come on Wednesdays. He's on every Wednesday for his vegan time tunnel. Roger Yates, of course, is our resident scholar on vegan history. Because
I joke, of course. I love Uncle Roger. I love Uncle Roger.
I've been calling him my vegan dad. He went vegan the year I was born. So he's the vegan dad I never had. And I think it's really important to talk about the history of veganism because of how bastardized and how appropriated, especially the word vegan is, but also just the movement in general. It's important that we can maintain what the purpose of the movement is, and sometimes it's difficult.
Bernie V, he says, hiya, Sky Jack Morgan. He's a Scottish guy. Can you tell he's Scottish?
Bernie
he
V.
looks Scottish to me. He's the most Scottish-looking person you've ever seen in your life, honestly.
don't want to say it. Yeah, Bernie
Yeah.
V is one of my favorite. I always call him out because I sometimes he comes on the show and but usually he comments later. So whenever he's actually on the show live, I always like to call out because I'm really happy when he's able to make it.
I love Bernie. He's a great supporter of all vegan YouTubers. He's always on live streams and premieres. So yeah, I love you, mate. You're a great guy. So thank you.
Can
for
you
joining.
make vegan haggis? Is that possible? Can you make vegan haggis?
There is vegan black pudding, which is it's similar to haggis. It's sort of like congealed bull's blood put into a sheep's stomach, all that horrible stuff. But there is a vegan version of it. So I think there may be. Bernie, is there a vegan haggis, my friend? Let me know.
Haggis?
Let me know.
It seems if anything is more perverse than than blood pudding, I don't know what it is. I mean, it is a very bizarre thing to eat, isn't it? Like, yeah, congealed blood in a pig's stomach or sheep's stomach, something like that.
A sheep's stomach, a sheep's intestine, or something like that. I mean, yeah, it's just like really. A few people have joined, so just a quick hello to Nikki Rivanine, vegan programmer, Carl, Entice the Lyrical Vegan. She's a great rapper. You were with Entice.
No, I don't know.
Entice the Lyrical Vegan.
I don't know Entice.
Oh, mate, you want to hear her raps? They're amazing.
Really?
She's not on at the moment. But honestly, she is vicious. She's a vicious rapper, and she doesn't pull any punches. So really, go and have a look at her YouTube channel. Have a look, especially a Christmas song. Oh, my God. It just blows everybody out of the water. It's amazing.
It's funny with the vegan activists and singers and everybody else. Sometimes it's hard to keep everyone straight because they've got like their name and then they've also got their vegan name, right? So Dan Shepard is also vegan grumpy granddad. It's hard to keep everything straight. Is your ADHD getting you?
No. I'm just actually looking for Entice. I just want to show you how good she is.
When did I go vegan, Sky? Asked the 40-year-old virgin. I went vegan in 2005. I've been vegan for about almost 18 years now, I think. 17 years I've been vegan. So, yeah, for a while. I've been vegan for a long, long time.
Hold on a minute. 40-year-old vegan, who give you permission to hijack my stream? Why? Sky, don't answer questions that people... Why? Stop it!
It's my habit. That's because I'm used to this interface.
Yeah, you used to be. I'll tell you what. Right, you take the show, and I'll just look for this particular song. And,
I don't have the controls, but I'd be happy to just look over.
Yeah, just look.
When did you go vegan,
chat.
and what drew you in? What drew me in is that I grew up in a violent household, and I was always kind of vehemently against violence and oppression as kind of big picture ideas. I was just against violence. I went vegetarian at about the age of 15 and kind of went on and off like a lot of people do, relapsing and that and the rest. Then in 2005, someone told me, I was vegetarian at the time, and someone said, well, you're so against oppression, you're so for peace, you're so against violence, then why are you eating eggs and dairy? And that was 2005. It was before real social media was all the rage, and I kind of had to do my own research and started talking with people. Luckily, I was in a place called Berkeley, California, where there were plenty of vegans around, but not many, right? But there were like some vegan restaurants, and it was easy to kind of get more information and went vegan. Yeah, so that was why I went vegan, was for big picture ideas.
Okay. This is Entice.
Not at all. But the joy about it is I don't really care. I grew up in a religious household, y'all, and I'm disgusted. Did a lot of things wrong in his name for his day. Damn, Entice. So nice. They say it's the most wonderful time of the year, but depends on what's in your atmosphere. Being boiled alive, that's nothing to cheer. You about to die, that's something to fear. You about to cry, but nobody cares. Scream for help and nobody's there. He reached for that knife and that shot his head. Hung upside down cause their life shared. The birth of Christ comes with taking life. That makes sense to you, sounds like Satan, right? You killing babies trying.
That's rough. It's good rapping. I like.
Right,
I like
I'm
the
going to take it
rhymes.
off pretty quick because it doesn't hold anything. I don't want to upset any of the people on stream. I should have given a warning before I put that out. I'm very sorry, people.
Trigger warning might have been.
But yes, that is what Entice is all about. She's just bang. Honestly, she's amazing. So, and she's got quite a few songs on there. So she'd be a great guest to have on. I tell you.
Like,
do you want to tech? Hello.
Do you want to track 669's in here?
Yeah,
I always like the like I always want to celebrate the different voices of veganism too, you know, even the ones that don't necessarily like I love hip hop. I'm a hip hop head, but you know, sometimes I encounter vegan voices that maybe don't resonate with me, but I think I want to celebrate them in every way and get them out there. And that's kind of where I saw my activism taking me.
So you said you came from a violent household.
I did, yeah,
Would you
yeah.
delve into that a little bit more, or is it something you don't want to talk about?
No,
Because
no, it's perfectly all right. My father was just a bad guy, kind of a tyrannical type of household. He was also like he was convicted of murder when a couple years before I was born,
wow,
and but because of this, the way things went, he didn't really have to do much time, and he was out before I was born, and yeah, so that just kind of just violence was a part of my life, and it continued to be part of my life. And it's funny that I feel like there's something about kind of the magnetism that you have when you are born into something like that. And you know, I think also just in the jobs I've had and the situations I've been in, I traveled the world and lived all over the world. And still, I feel like, wow, I've put myself in a lot of violent situations where things got pretty hairy a lot of times. So,
yeah, I'll agree. I mean, I didn't have violent parents. I mean, but at the time when I went to school, we had the strap, corporal punishment. I was also getting my ass kicked every time I walked out on the street because there was basically nothing else to do. So I was getting my ass kicked till I learned to turn around and punch. And I think it does. I don't think it's a positive thing, but I do think there is a positive you can take from that kind of lifestyle. It gives you
absolutely.
courage. It gives you
True.
courage not to take shit off anybody.
Yeah, but then you're also willing to escalate things more quickly, which is something that so like for example, if something happened, so with a name like Sky, almost like the boy named Sue from Johnny Cash song.
Oh yes, I love
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
right. That's how it kind of was, like kind of an asshole father. Like that song is very, except my father was quite present. He would work all day, but I mean, I would see him at night. But like in the street, if someone would say like, "What kind of name is that?" or call me a kind of a homophobic word or something like that, I would immediately be like, "Okay, let's fight about it." Like, okay, let's. That's violence was always a thing that was on the table, and I think that familiarity with it now kind of makes it. When I'm angry, I'm kind of a scary person. So like when I was managing bars in Las Vegas, where we had extreme levels of business, like Fight Night with Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather fighting, you know, there's just an insane amount of business, and the types of people who were drunk and in your face, I would have to stare them down, and it would be one of those things where it's like, you know, they never would come to blows, because now that kind of willingness to be okay, well, let's go. Kind of keeps the violence down, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a strange contradiction.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be a sort of stealth doorman, and I was paid to just sit at the back of the bar, and then if anything kicked off, I had to deal with it, and nothing much happened, and it was just the fact that the punters always knew there was somebody there, and it sort of kept it quiet instead of having doormen sort of being stood there in the uniforms and all that. You know, it's just that hidden threat is just enough to stop things going over the edge. But
I always liked it when I had uniformed guys in there, but you know, in Vegas too, we have armed personnel, and when you had to call them, because sometimes I couldn't handle it, but most of the time it would be, hey, they'd get in my face and I'd be like, all right, well, who do you think is going to win this scenario? Like straight up, you're drunk, I'm sober, and I've got guys with guns that can be called in a moment. Like, you're in Las Vegas, and people would generally back down, usually, almost always.
so I missed your earlier sort of when you were like when 40-year-old vegan was trying to take over my show. You've been vegan for how long?
17 years. We're
17 years. So
Yeah,
you was vegan when it wasn't cool to be vegan, when it wasn't sort of
definitely. Yeah.
you couldn't walk into what actually made you do this? Because to me, you sound like a similar person to myself. So you've grown up in this macho world. You've had to act macho. You've had to put up this front. You can't be yourself. It's girly to cry. So you sound like you've gone through similar things. So what actually turned you? Was it somebody? Was it something? Was it?
It was literally conversations about violence, and at the time, we were at war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we were talking a lot about those things. And I was saying, I'm against war, I'm against oppression, I'm against violence, and yet every day I would eat, like cheese and bread. I was like my college days. I loved going to the market and getting like there was this Italian market that had these artisanal cheeses that were made in Sonoma County, and like just down the road, it must be good. It's local. And then, someone pointed out one day that no, it's far more violent. You should just go vegan. And that was a new word, like people weren't talking about veganism. And
so someone just came out of the blue and said you should go vegan.
Yeah, I don't even remember their name, and it was just at a party someplace where I was. I was also kind of a big deal in the poetry scene at the time, San Francisco Bay, and I was considered like this alpha male poet, but I was having a lot of success with it, and I had the confidence to get on stage, and I had done some theater work with Shakespeare and all that. So, I mean, I was always kind of drawn to this counterculture kind of environment. So luckily, when you're drawn to that type of stuff, there are opinions that you'll encounter whilst in them, right? That aren't the status quo, aren't the norm. I mean, you're an actor. You meet people of all kinds when you're an actor, all different walks. I mean, people think actors get a bad rap that they're all like flaming liberals, but it's not the case. They're all different. And then you're supposed to embody characters that are all different. So you're having to reconcile these ideas. And I think that that's kind of where I would say it came from. I mean, you yourself, you went vegan as a part of like activism and acting, yeah?
No, far from it. I went, and I'm going to say it, people. I don't care what you say, right? At the time, this is what I thought it was.
For your health.
I
right?
went vegan for health. Yeah,
I
went vegan for health.
Yeah.
And this is why I will never ever rubbish or try and correct anybody who says they're going vegan for health. If you put a post on Facebook. I've seen posts on Facebook, why did you go vegan? And people are like, I went vegan for health. And then they get barraged with other vegans say, you don't go vegan for health. It's for the animals only. Yes, we all know that. We didn't know that then, Well, and it's a dynamic that you've got to think about is this journey that people take towards veganism. And it doesn't matter how they get there.
Well, yeah, Malcolm X said, don't condemn too quickly those who are just figuring this out just because you got there earlier, like just because you were quicker. If someone like Malcolm X can hold that idea, I think that we can be a little bit more gracious. But at the same time, I think, I've had to change my opinion when it comes to that and my kind of treatment of the people who went vegan for health reasons. I always found it to be a little bit of a milquetoast way of they're not actually vegan. They're not. I've held those same ideas, but doing what I do now online, I've had to reconsider that. That really challenged that preconception because people can evolve. You yourself, you got into it for health reasons, and then you were confronted with the cruelty of what's going on, and then
I mean that I did go plant-based. Okay, so let's correct it. I did go plant-based, but in my head I was going vegan. That's what I thought I was doing. But because I thought I was going vegan, I was then Googling vegan, and I wouldn't have been exposed to any vegan sort of literature or any vegan videos or the philosophy if I hadn't. And that's what I mean. So I would have been still eating meat now. Maybe not. Maybe I would have bumped into another vegan. Maybe. But eventually I would have come across it. So, yeah.
Well, I think when you go plant-based for health reasons, one of the things you're saying to yourself is that animals aren't food, right? That's the first thing you're saying is that now animals aren't food. And that's the biggest thing, right? Like even Ed Winters will say like that's not the only thing, but it's the biggest thing. It's the biggest thing you can point at and say this is what's happening. Behold what God hath wrought, right? And so when you're saying that animals aren't food, that's one step closer to saying that all animals are not products. Animals aren't products, they're individuals with rights, and we need to encounter them as right bearers and respect those rights. But the first step saying animals aren't food, I think is a pretty good step. It's a step in the right direction. It just depends on what you do with it. Are you willing to take that next step like you are, or are you just going to be like Kim Kardashian, who's 98% vegan?
Yeah, exactly. And and that's another thing where you've just said that, when people say vegan food, I say, oh, hold on a minute. No. It's not vegan food. It's food.
Right. I
It's
agree with that.
food.
Yes. That what you're eating isn't food. You're eating a dead animal, and I'm eating food.
Yeah,
Right.
you're eating someone. I'm eating food. And it's the
Right.
same with my family. You know that none of my family are vegan. And it's
Yeah,
like,
I know. I don't know how
oh,
you
we
do
got
it.
you some vegan food. I said, no, you haven't got me some vegan food. You've just got me some food. It's food,
Right.
you know?
Right. People do that to me all the time. Oh, I bought you some vegan food. And I'm going, no, you didn't. It's just food. It's just food. I say that all the time.
And my mum keeps saying to me, do you want some of this? Oh, you can't eat that, can you? I says, yes, mum, I can eat it if I wish, but I don't wish to. Because
Right.
there's cruelty involved.
In fact, it's
you know?
proof. It's been proven time and time again. Of course, you can eat animals, but that doesn't mean you should. I mean, my face evolved to take more punches than a woman's face, and the reason why is because of the way
Because the way you look.
Yeah,
You know,
but it's because
that's
the way, right.
Yeah.
The
I love
men
to punch your face. I
Right.
love to punch your face.
I got a very punchable
You're
face.
so
a very
lucky you're on
punchable
the wrong
face.
side
I
of the
know,
Atlantic.
right?
You are so lucky, my friend.
Or the right side of the Atlantic, as the case may be. But it's men have evolved to be bigger than women and be stronger than women and have a face that could take more punches. And just because a man can overpower a woman, we've decided that one shouldn't. Right? We all thinking people will say one should not do such a thing. The research suggests that it doesn't matter why people go plant-based. However, they need to be exposed to vegan ethics as early as possible. Yeah. Totally
Well, we know
Roger.
this, Roger. We know this, and it is true. But what I'm trying to say is that I would not have been exposed to the vegan ethics had I not gone what I thought was vegan for health, you know?
But I guess then we need to look at what are we advertising though as vegans, like as flag bearers of the movement. Do we advertise the health benefits of going vegan when there are plenty of anecdotal things you can hear that are quite the opposite, the Jordan Petersons of the world saying something entirely contradictory? Or do we talk about the ethics, which I think are undeniable? I don't think that I very rarely hear someone argue the ethics effectively on the other side of veganism.
Catherine I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong. Catherine Kumel. I'm really hard and can take down most blokes. Yeah, you can take down a meat eater, but you've no chance against a vegan.
No.
We're hard as nails, all of us.
I guess you might be able to take them down, but like literally, the face is built. A man's face, they've determined that that's why men can take so many blows to the head and a woman couldn't. That's one of the reasons we've just evolved to have a very punchable face.
So, what does your activism involve, Sky? I mean, what was the first thing you did, and how have you developed, and how are you going to develop further? Have you done any vigils? Have you done any street activism? Have you done anything along those lines where you meet the victims, look at the victims eye to eye?
I guess I've done a little bit of everything. Early on, I did a lot more of the street activism, and especially when it I always loved it when it intersected with things like labor. So when in California, when Taco Bell had its big problem with people who were growing their tomatoes, and there was so animal activists were also involved. It was something that I participated in a very long time ago. Now, speaking out and doing kind of advocacy, I did go to farms when I was in Virginia and bore witness, but also just raised hell. That was a lot of what I was doing. And I owned a vegan restaurant that because there was no vegan options in my town, and so we started one because I was working as the marketing manager for the American Shakespeare Center in Virginia, and we started a restaurant that was vegan. A little cafe that started winning awards for its wine list and was in the Washington Post and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. So restaurant business and hospitality was always something that kept dragging me into it.
Oh, you can give me a few tips on some nice vegan wines. I like reds. Yeah, definitely. I like reds.
I've kind of given it up. I've given up restauranting because, well, in the end of the day,
what do you do now? What do you do now for to make a living, to pay the bills? What do you do
right
now?
now? I'm an art director for an artist who is an artist who inspires world peace, and through what we're doing is raising money through NFTs in that Web3 space. So it can get pretty nerdy pretty quickly, but I'm an art director now, graphic designer. Do a little marketing too, because that's always been part of my life.
I did put vegan the vegan programmer in Time Out as a joke. So I hope you haven't took that as like you were saying that 40-year-old vegan was a better show when he had control of it, and I put him in Time Out. I hope you do come back, vegan programmer. It was a joke. Sorry,
I don't know who that was.
He's a good friend of mine.
So
Listen, while we're on the subject, because I know you're trying to push this, so I'm going to give you 3 minutes to explain NFTs and how people can get them.
I'm not trying to push them, but before we do the,
I want you to push them because.
Okay, before you start that clock, I do want to talk about like the main part of my activism in my life was to get back in the day, you couldn't go into a restaurant and find vegan options. And so a lot of what I did was have heated debates, loud arguments in boardrooms and conference rooms at very high levels in places like MGM Resorts and Waldorf Astoria, St. Regis, these high-end resorts to try to get vegan menus on vegan menus available to their guests. So once I realized that war had been won and I was kind of burning out because of because of COVID, and I quit the restaurant business and am now trying to do different kind of evolving my activism, which is how I got here.
Can I ask how old you are now?
43.
You're 43. Wow, you look well for 43.
Ah, thank you. Maybe it's the 17 years vegan, huh?
He probably is the 17 years vegan, almost definitely.
Yeah.
So you're 43. So yeah, I mean, this is the time to evolve when you're comfortable in your own skin. I found that I was comfortable in my own skin after 40. Before then, I was a total sort of mess, but I was going through the ADHD battle and I didn't even know I had it, and I kept wondering why I kept. We won't go into that, but yeah, it is time to evolve. And I mean, I found my acting talent at 50, so. It's like, yeah.
Well, I enjoyed the different seasons of life, and I wouldn't take any of them back. I've had a different road than a lot of others, and I've done a little bit. It's always been a little bohemian in my life, but at the end of the day, you do as much as you can, right? And some people want to jerk off and play video games all day, and that's
what I'd rather be doing.
Yeah. And that's for them. That's awesome. It's like that utopian, that Thomas More idea of utopia. Like, what will people do with their time when they have more of it? Well, we've discovered that some will jerk off and play video games, and others, and drinking went way up during COVID. These things, people will go heavier into some of the bad stuff, but there's plenty of us that will sit around and philosophize and change the world. Closer to 60 than to 50. Oh my gosh, me too.
I just clicked on something and it disappeared. Like, Sky thought I was 27, yeah, but he's like, you know what I mean? He didn't have his glasses on at the time when he was looking at you, Laura. Come on. You've no chance of being 20. You don't even look anywhere near 27. Come on. Really, Laura?
But she does it for the animals. I love the way she says animals.
Oh,
animals.
She's in Brummie. She's from Birmingham. That's where she's from. Yeah, she's a Peaky Blinder. Yeah. That's where, yeah. She's a Peaky Blinder.
The Peaky fucking Blinders.
That was more Cockney, that one.
But that's how they talk in that. They don't have Birmingham accents, do they? When I see that show,
Birmingham accents. That's Birmingham. That's
I guess
pure
so. I always
Birmingham accent. Yeah.
I think of Birmingham and I think of Sharon. I think of Ozzy. Oh, Sharon.
Oh, Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah,
yeah. That's what I think of when I think of Birmingham. Oh, Sharon, these cigarettes will kill you faster than crack cocaine.
I heard Scottish. Well, I heard Cockney. All in one. How do you do that? You'll have to teach me how to do that Scottish Cockney.
Well, the Cockney's always the Dick Van Dyke, and every American's got a little Dick Van Dyke in him, I guess. When it comes to
Joey Carbstrong doing his Scottish accent is just absolutely pathetic.
Well, Joey's an Aussie, isn't he?
He's an Aussie. Yeah,
He's got his own. Aussies do the worst accents. Like I cannot stand when Chris Hemsworth does an American accent. It like nails down a chalkboard. It must be like what you guys think when you hear Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins, because I always hear, "Oh, Maori, chim chim chiroo, Maori," and then it's his excuse for that was that he was taught the English accent by an Irishman. He's back.
Vegan Programmer's back. Yeah, Vegan Programmer used to do a lot of promotion for bands. Yeah, he's an amazing guy. He used to do a lot of promotions all over, doing concerts and stuff like that. He's a great promoter. Oh, that reminds me. Have you seen on Netflix, Sky?
Yes.
The
I canceled my Netflix account, but maybe
The car crash. The car crash. Is it the car crash? The train wreck. The train wreck. It's about Woodstock '99.
No, I haven't seen it,
Oh
but I
my
remember
God.
Woodstock '99. It was pretty much a cluster.
Oh, it's the full
Yeah.
story of it. It's amazing. Watch if anybody's out there, watch that on Netflix. It's
You
just
enjoyed it? Yeah.
it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
People were living in shit, weren't they? It was
It was just disgusting. They tried cutting corners, and it was just pathetic. So they got everything they deserve, basically.
Well, it's almost like the first one was kind of a disaster too, wasn't it? Just they weren't living. I mean, they had no preparations for how big the first one got.
Yeah, but I mean
So,
that didn't
69.
go off like it did at this one. Jesus. Anyway, NFTs, 3 minutes.
NFTs.
Starting
NFTs, 3 minutes.
now.
NFTs, here we go. You can imagine, if you will, a world where you have a programmable object. We've been talking about the Internet of Things for a long, long time, and now think of any object as tokenizable, made to be one of a kind. In fact, imbuing it with some kind of aura, and then you can program that thing to behave in certain ways when you interchange them in things like the metaverse. Says the man smoking on artificial cigarettes. Like, oh no, this future thing ain't for me. Says the man not smoking a real fag, but he's smoking a small pipe with a battery in it. So embrace the future. It is really going to happen. We have this idea of like a plane ticket. The plane ticket right now is a QR code usually. In a few years, it will be, what is a QR code? It will be an NFT, so that it can be tied directly to you, and you will be able to say, this is me, I own this. The provenance and where it came from will be established immediately. It's one of a kind, immutable. So yeah, that's an NFT. You can collect it later because it'll be tied to a piece of art, because people like their NFTs look cool. So you like that? That was pretty close. I think I did it under 3 minutes. Not that hard. I can't hear you, mate.
So tell me what you're trying to do with them. What's the end game? If people jump on board with this, what do you intend to do? Who's it going to help? Is it going to help you get a mansion in Cuba?
No, not likely. Not likely. But I tell you, what I want to do with them personally, I see it as a way to try to use them as fundraising opportunities to trade, and so they can behave. Like the programmable part of it is really interesting to me. But imagine like in November. In America, we kill about 45 million turkeys every November. About 80 million are killed in America every year, but about over half of that happens in November alone because of Thanksgiving. I want to raise money through NFTs and adopt turkeys through that. Through the NFT technology on the blockchain, you can tell exactly where the money goes, so that no one can ever say, well, where'd the money go? It goes exactly there. People aren't sold on it because it's new. People weren't sold on the internet either. No one's ever going to put their credit card into an internet machine, and now here we all are.
Can you put it into layman's terms now? Right. So my swing on this, now correct me if I'm wrong, is it's a little bit like buying shares or cryptocurrency.
No, because it's a share. A share is fungible. So, for example, if I buy a share of Starbucks and I give you that share, and you give me a share of your Starbucks, nothing has happened, right? But an NFT is actually non-fungible, meaning I can't think of it like a cow is an individual. Animals are non-fungible, right? The problem is that people treat them as if they were fungible. Animals are individuals, so are NFTs. That's what the fungible part of it comes from. Think if like what you guys don't collect baseball cards. What do you guys collect over there?
We used to collect football cards, so with different football
cards,
teams, yeah.
Okay, so imagine you collect a football card, right? And they've all got serial numbers, and you've got
you've got rare ones. You'd swap for rare ones, and you'd swap more.
Bingo! You can swap three of this one, and you forget the rare one. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's just a tradability. So you have like, I don't know, let's call it Beckham, and he's like, you've got this one, and someone else has another Beckham, but they've got different serial numbers, and this one's worth more than this one.
And this one's a shiny.
This one's yes, foil embossed, whatever. So you can trade on that and have fun. But now imagine that your football card can get you into a football game. And then, not only that, the football card can get you into a conversation with David Beckham. He can now meet you and know exactly who you are, where you bought that football card. Now the football card, you can program that football card to do all of these other things, because this metaverse virtual reality has been around a long time, and everyone's like rolling their
So
eyes about the metaverse.
well, you've just given them value. Then you've just given this non-fungible token some value. Then if you can trade it for a service.
Not only trade it, but you maintain it. You can trade it so that someone else can have the utility, but as long as you have it in your wallet, it belongs to you. And it's not only that, you can provably show that it belongs to you, which you could never do before. Nothing can be owned on the internet right now, until now, I should say, because now people are owning NFTs and they can say, this belongs to me and I can prove it. And then you can exchange. You know what? Passport is very, very interesting. So the passport is something that people are looking into, because there's this other thing called the non-tradable token, the NTT, which is the same thing, a non-fungible token. So when you're born, you'll be given a passport or some kind of marker that you can't shake. It'll be with you forever and you can't get rid of it. So there's some scary implications there too, but it's the future. Non-fungible token is financial security consisting of digital data stored on the blockchain. Yeah, right. The distributed ledger is the backing of the technological backing. So that becomes a really fascinating thing. The technology is super fascinating, but my involvement right now, this is pretty new. But the truth is, it's happening very quickly, and I'm really excited about it because one, I'm part of a project that's for world peace and art, which is fun and cool. I like both those things, art and world peace. I'm signing up. And the second is, with my vegan activism, I think we can take it this next level and start building real, meaningful communities around this technology. My goal is to build like a vegan mecca in cyberspace, in the metaverse, where when you have the NFT, it's like a card proving that you are one of these vegans that we've decided are allowed in. You know?
Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah,
because I'm really buying into the metaverse. I really love this fact that we can go in, and I'm thinking about getting all the virtual reality.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I've still got to purchase my first virtual reality kit, but
so if you like that, the metaverse is so interesting because what's unique about the metaverse and that makes it unique versus all of the iterations we've seen before is that you have the ability to exchange value in the metaverse. That was never a thing before. Virtual reality was reserved for like games and stuff. But now I could meet you in the metaverse and exchange goods and services. That is something, and that is only possible because of NFT.
Yeah. Right, okay, let's move on from NFTs because it is a bit. I can feel steam coming out of my ears with my brain whirring. Well, I want to ask you a couple of questions on your views on things, and we'll do this, and then we'll open it up to the open mic. And people who are very vocal in the chat, you see what happens, Sky? These people are very vocal in the chat. They like to shout their opinions out, right? But when they get their offer to come on and speak in person...
crickets, I bet.
I'll use an animal euphemism here. They all turn chicken. So
on my show, I'm trying to stop using animal aphorisms because I find that I've been convinced. I've always loved them, and I've spent so much time really learning them, and now I've been convinced that they're not good.
No, they're not cool. We should stop using the languages. I mean, if we were talking about black slaves and there was a euphemism that involved saying like I'm as downbeat as a sugar plantation slave, we wouldn't be using it, would we?
No, really? We wouldn't.
We wouldn't be using it. And
no, but the slave could hear it, right? But I guess like the cat can't hear when there's more than one way to skin it. But I think that putting the energy out in the universe is something that I could.
So I'd like to ask you your opinion on vegan camp out.
Ooh,
there was a big hoo-ha about the venue.
Yes.
So what's your opinion on the venue choice? And I don't know whether you're aware of how British land works. Land is a little bit different than American land is. If you've got land in America, you own it all the way down. So like if I dug up oil in my garden, it would be the Queen's, not my oil. It would be the government's, you know.
You don't have the mineral rights or the air rights. You don't have the air rights either.
We only own the land on the level. That's it. We don't own anything below or above. So, so a lot of land is owned by the Crown, by the government, and by big private companies. So you're going to be hard-pressed to be able to find anywhere that doesn't rent out this space to other users for whatever purpose. So what's your opinion on vegan campout and the controversy? Was it just a flash in the pan? Was it just a load of crap? Were people justified in being against it?
They're certainly justified in being against it. I think that nuance of argument when it comes to veganism is pretty exciting to talk about if we're talking about those things. I just don't think it's have we reached the point where those are the things we need to be talking about? Is that the argument we need to be having? Whether or not the land was leased to a pheasant, what was it, a pheasant farmer or something like
No,
that?
it's an estate, and the people can come on and shoot, but they pay, and
pheasant
people
shooting,
could come
right.
on and people could come on and fish. But
right.
they're utilising the land. It's
Yeah,
like me renting out, to kids to come and play in my garden, then rent it out to fur trappers to come in the garden.
Right. In America, the cattle farms are like that too, where they'll allow hunters to come on and hunt deer and things like that on their farms. And right, you're hard pressed because the transaction really is I will pay you X amount of dollars for Y amount of time of this amount of land, right? So doing business with people existing in a non-vegan world is treacherous and full of contradiction. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I
personally,
I have a problem. Let me tell you why I have a problem with it. What the vegan campout's such a cool big thing, but also should we even be partying like about veganism? Is that really the thing that we're supposed to be doing? When Roger was on the show, we're talking about 1,500 people are together. Why don't we go break some shit up? Let's go burn down some slaughterhouses. Like there's 1,500 of us. We're unstoppable right now. Let's do something. No, we're just gonna party, mate.
I'm mixed with it. I think because the way we are indoctrinated into this way of utilizing animals, right? It's a normality. And the vegan movement has always been seen as something abnormal, okay?
Right. Fringy.
And it's very fringy. And people out there who go vegan for the right reasons can become very alone. I'm alone here right now. I'm very alone here right now, okay? Nobody around here. I'm alone in my views. I can't.
Well, yeah, Dan, that's why I started my show. Was exactly for that reason.
There you go.
Right.
So, therefore, people have this vision in their head of sandal-wearing, tree-hugging, tie-dyed hippie people. When we do a big party like that and bring everybody together, you no longer feel alone. You then can go away from that event feeling energized, and you're not alone. There is a big community out there for you. So I think there's positives to it. My holiday in Cuba, I didn't have access to my phone. I did for a short time, but I left it to one side. And it was so nice not to see videos coming through of animals being shot in the head and split open. It was nice not to see arguments about it. It was nice not to see stupid, carny comments about it. It was so nice to get away from it. And I needed that break, Sky. I needed that break because it fucks you up. It doesn't matter how resilient you are. Eventually, after 5 years of looking
blowing
at
off
it,
some steam, right? Blowing off steam is human. You're at the end of the day, you're a human being, even if you're a member of a counterculture that is, vehemently against the status quo. You're a human being that needs to blow off steam. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's why my immediate reaction is to kind of defend vegan camp out. But it would be remiss of me to not acknowledge the arguments against what the transaction was to procure the land for it, right? It's troubling. And is there no other option? Is there no other option? Could it have been someplace else?
Right. So what? 15,000 people.
15,000.
Okay.
Right. Sorry. Yeah.
You've got to have space to camp. You've got to have adequate running water. You've got to have adequate toilets. You've got to have adequate drains. You've got to be nearby to fire services, ambulance services. There's a lot to think about. You've got to have electricity hookups.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I've done some major events and things like that. I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's why. Yeah, I mean, did they exhaust their other opportunities before they decided to go with this?
Well, I'm not here to comment on it. I know my feelings about it is once a year, I think it's just good to get everybody together. Yeah. Yes. And it's an opportunity for vegans to take the non-vegan friends and say, look at this. Look at this.
How many of us there are?
We're not the fucking weirdos you think we are. Look, there's an old guy there in a scooter. There's young people there. There's teenagers there. There's kids there. There's families there. It's like, we're normal. We're normal.
Yeah, I mean, it seems a bit weird because no matter where you go, especially when I was in the South, there were plenty of areas where if you had a vegan festival, you're probably going to be on some land that was owned by, at some point, the slaveholder or something that sullied that land. Maybe even today is still sullied. And, you know, you still have to keep going and still make do with what you've got. I mean, the high school in the town I lived in Virginia was Robert E. Lee, so a slaveholder. And then the school down the road that used to be the black only school was Booker T. Washington.
Wow. That sounds so foreign.
A former slave. And both schools are still running, one named after a slave owner and one named after a former slave. And the people that I knew there, the black people I knew there, went to that school when it was a black only school, when it was separate but equal. Now, we're living in this world where these horrible things are still in our faces, in living memory. And so I know that it's a bit closer because, yeah, they're doing the hunting and the fishing and stuff like that still today. Well, they weren't doing it during Vegan Camp Out, were they? Or they weren't?
No.
How are you supposed to keep the movement going if we're going to have to tiptoe around every little thing that the hegemony is doing?
Man, exactly. Right,
I'm against war, and America. I live in America, and America right now is carrying out horrible atrocities in my name. Like, that's happening right now. You can be assured of that, but it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person just because I was born in America.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, borders are all man-made sort of things anyway, and you're always very lucky. You're very lucky to be born in the first place, and you're very lucky to be born in a free country, which is always a nice thing. I've put the StreamYard link out there, guys. I've just put it on now. I'm going to switch it on again. If you want to come on and have your say, or you've got something to say to us, or you've got something you want to shout out about,
that was the only view. The only view you wanted to know was Vegan Camp Out?
No, I've got another one for you now.
All right.
Now, I want your opinions, and this is not vegan related. It could be, but I want to know what your views are on the Russian invasion and the controversy going on with Taiwan and the Chinese. Does it look a bit scary to you? Because it's certainly looking very scary to me that the Chinese, another communist country, have now started shaking spears at Taiwan.
And don't forget, while America is ratifying in a border country of Russia, Finland, and Sweden into NATO, so like a lot of things are happening that I believe war is imminent. I think that is something we're going to have to get our heads around. What is a war that's not a Cold War, not some proxy war, but an actual war with a Sino-American war or a Russo-American war, a real one. It's terrifying to me, especially the stuff with Taiwan, because it's a token that's been pushed back and forth, and once the cards are all down, what are we actually going to do? Like that is the most frightening part. Ukraine, my view on that is like the Russians. Everyone's talking about the grain, right? You heard about the grain went to Lebanon and it was refused. So all of this trouble went to getting the grain out of the Ukraine from Odessa that was bombed after the treaty was signed, the ceasefire-ish type thing that the Russians and the Ukrainians signed. The grain leaves Odessa, is refused in Lebanon. Why was it refused? And what is that grain used for anyway? I think we all know what that grain is going to be used for. It's used for animal feed.
You can use a phone.
Use a phone. It was used for animal feed. This war in the Ukraine is over animal feed. Vegan. If you're against the war in the Ukraine, then you need to be going vegan, because that war is fought over food prices, and the food is in scare quotes because animals are not food. And
well, we're short of oil, cooking oil. Because of Ukraine, because Ukraine was one of the biggest suppliers of rapeseed oil and other oils, and also chicken feed. The prices of chickens are going through the roof all over Europe because of the knock-on effect of the grain shortage. I find it amazing that such a. I mean, it is a vast country, but I mean, relative to everything else, you'd think like the US would be able to supply us with grain, and it's just, I think it's a really crazy situation.
You think that the U.S. would but the U.S. grain system is so fucked with vertical integration and types of farming practices that we do here, and how it's all subsidized and all of that. supplying the world with grain has come up many, many times in the United States, and it looks like if they did it, the price of grain goes so far down that there's an economic disaster. So it's like they've got other considerations at those levels, right? But like at the end of the day, the war in the Ukraine is fought for the same reason every other war has ever been fought, which is the perceived scarcity of resources. And that perceived scarcity of resource is, well, it's bullshit.
Hold on a minute. No,
it's distribution.
No, apparently, I mean, that's what we're taking from it. But also, Putin is saying that there's more. I mean, are we seeing the truth? Is what I'm trying to get at, Sky. Is somebody put to me, right? And they said to me, how do you know that 90% of Ukraine isn't pro-Russian? How do you know?
Yeah.
How do you not know this? So would it not be fair for them to rejoin as far as the 10% are concerned? Leave the 10% out, and you never know because we never get to see the whole truth.
But that's why we hold elections. That's why we have elections, and that's why America and other countries defend people's rights to vote so that we can discover those things. Hello, Roger. I mean, it's the idea of the Russians going into the Ukraine is they use the excuse that they're going to go out root out Nazism, right? But that's always what we do. We paint someone as the other first and foremost, and then we go in and rape them of their resources, which is what's truly happening. It's about resources and about the distribution of those resources, because on this world we have people who are dying from eating too much and dying from eating too little, and that's just a broken system. That's not because we don't have enough food for them.
Hello, Roger. He's a walking advertisement for always putting sunscreen on your nose.
Yeah, I really have caught the sun this week.
Well, you were out there doing the work, weren't you?
I was out there doing well. A friend of mine is grieving at the moment, and we're distributing ashes, but we're doing it in favorite places, and it just so happens to be very hot and
your internet's a very jittery, Roger. Maybe it's that background. If you want to just flip, sometimes it's if you put a virtual background on. I'm not sure what you've got hiding behind you. Have you got? Are you in your sex dungeon or?
Roger's sex dungeon is the next.
I want to see Roger's sex dungeon.
That's the next YouTube. The next YouTube channel. Yeah. Roger's sex dungeon.
There it is behind me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still a bit jittery, but yeah, we can hear you. That's all we need to do.
It's live.
Well, hang on, I'll turn it off completely then. So that's weird.
No, all of a sudden you're fine. Oh, maybe just took a check to cut up. Oh, now you're good.
There we go. See,
maybe that was what it was.
These virtual backgrounds, they just double whammy the stinger.
I didn't know that.
Thingy, whatever. Anybody else want to join us? By the way, feel free. There's the link. So Roger Dodge.
Oh, Sky. In terms of carnitaires, look at this. This is like about a 25-year-old vegan mug.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it said vegan for people, animals, and environment.
Hold it up a bit higher. Hold it up a bit higher, Roger, because we can't see it.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I like it. People.
25
animals.
Years old. Really? Or are you...
Yeah, it's about that, I think. Or say 20 years. Say 20 years.
I have very few things that are that old. But that's pretty awesome.
I've got loads of things that.
I've always been like, I was really into minimalism way before it was cool, and I just like let it burn, throw it away. I don't want it, get it out of my face, like because once I moved to Europe when I was 19, and I had to bring over because I'm an idiot. I brought over books, LPs, all this shit. When I came back, I did not bring that shit. I was like, got to part with it. We're not gonna.
Yeah, we don't have LPs
whereabouts in Europe
was
you? Whereabouts in Europe was you, Sky?
I lived in Germany for 6 years. I lived in London for about 9 months ish during those 6 years. But I was working for a German company for about 6 years.
What did you think of London?
Oh, when a man is tired of London, he's tired of life. Yeah. I loved London. How do you not like London? I mean, shit, it's one of the great cities of the world. And you know what's funny? It's by far, I think, one of the best. I think it's the best capital city in the world, because capital cities usually suck. They like DC. It's pretty cool. but it's kind of hard living in there. London's, as far as capital cities go, tops. Far better than Paris, or I don't know.
I don't know. I've not visited Paris yet. I visited Havana. That's not such a great place.
Everyone likes
as far as
Dublin.
capital city.
Dublin. Everyone likes
I've never been. Yeah, I've never been to Dublin either. That's another one.
Well, I'm
I
not
need to
inviting you, Danny, so you can forget it.
Ooh. That's the way we're going on this, are we, Roger? Yes.
I mean,
I'm
London's
gonna-
fascinating. Where can you sit? Where can you sit in the same room where like Karl Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto and the Beatles wrote, like, I don't know, I Want to Hold Your Hand. Like, you can sit in the same room where that shit. Go to the British Library and hang out where that shit happened. I mean, it's just fascinating. Everything about it.
I've sat in a pub in Liverpool where they penned a lot of songs of Beatles, and there's actually a picture that the actual seat there, and the picture behind is of sat in that actual seat, and it's just great to recreate the look of it. Yeah, it is nice. It is nice.
Yeah. When you could do that in London, I mean, the Liberty Bell. It's like fascinating every little turn. I mean, I remember I was there, and they said, yeah, this is the foundry where the Liberty Bell that hangs in Philadelphia was founded, where we molded the bell that rings for liberty. Like, what the hell? Like, in London they built that bell. And they shipped it across the Atlantic in the 1700s. It's
with
crazy.
London Bridge. Yeah, London Bridge as well. Can you say that in a Scottish accent, Sky?
The London Bridge.
No, not London Bridge. What Bernie V's just put on? What Bernie?
No, he said Scottish accent. Sky.
Oh,
Yeah.
When a person is tired
No,
of
Scottish
London, that
accent,
person
Sky.
is tired of the English feudal system.
That's Mel Gibson again, isn't it?
That's always Mel
it is.
Gibson. My Scottish accent is always Mel Gibson. Yes, that's exactly. I don't want to fight. I don't want to be a martyr. Yeah,
Martyr.
a
Yes,
martyr.
a martyr.
They could take away our lives, but they can't take away our freedom. It's
You can take away our veganism.
yeah.
So,
I love
Roger, you've got a regular slot on Sky's podcast.
Yeah, I'm an infiltrator, Danny.
He's
Yeah?
the vegan time tunnel. Yeah.
So I'm doing kind of a little kind of history kind of section. So
Yeah. This is what happens on other people's channels. It's all a lot of mugging the camera. You know what's funny? You did the this is like a Richard Nixon thing, and today is the day that Richard Nixon left office. Today is the
Wow, what a
anniversary.
coincidence! What a coincidence!
Yeah, and Roger's doing the I'm not a crook. But that's what he did as he got onto Air Force One on his way out of Dodge.
that was Forrest Gump's doing, wasn't it?
Yeah, Forrest Gump did everything. Did you heard? I mean, he was just a mentally disabled, mentally handicapped white person who managed to guide the history of America.
Well, yeah, as you do.
Forrest! I love you, Johnny.
So Laura, if anybody doesn't know who Laura is, she's my friend. She's a TikToker. Have you been banned or are you back on now?
Yeah,
No,
are
I'm
you
back
banned?
on.
You're back on.
Oh, you're back on.
I was banned. I kind of worked out who it was, but yeah, I'm fully ready to rock and roll again.
They
I
just
got to
put you on a
start-
bit of a timeout.
I know, I needed a timeout. I was telling the truth way too much, and people just didn't like it. So
Yeah, people
You'll
don't like
have
the
that.
truth.
No,
It's
they
all
can't
to do-
handle the
it's to do with
truth.
bots, isn't it? It's to do with the
Yes,
bots.
they
In what you said, Danny, earlier, that it's to do with people reporting, and you can see even in comments of the lives that people are trying to encourage groups of people to report all at once.
I noticed that when I did one outside Tulip about 3 months ago. It was like, let's all report him, guys.
Yeah,
And next thing you know, offline, bang, gone.
yeah. I think I was
Sorry,
watching that when it
bastards.
happened. That's right. Yeah, and so I don't think any humans are involved really in this. It's kind of like if they receive X number of issues, then they just shut it down.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a profit loss scenario, right? So I have a friend who lives in Germany who works for
you
TikTok.
have a friend?
I have one or two. I try not to, especially not non-vegan friends. But she's a non-vegan friend that lives in Germany, and she does the reviews, right? If someone gets reported, she has to watch to see if it's actually reportable offense. And But the thing is, she says they don't give a shit. If you have a few, you're not worth the trouble. Get rid of you. They don't. It's just like they're not going to go. Oh well, let's see. They have no sense of justice. Like we're all going. This is an injustice. This is a affront to my justice. It's not. It's just.
Yeah, it's interesting though, Sky, because Wikipedia try and do it a little bit different. Because it seems to me that there's a group of people on Wikipedia that get kind of employed to monitor certain groups of people. And when somebody wrote my Wikipedia page, I tried to get it taken down, and so I was contacted by somebody who said, why and all that, and they then go on this idea about whether you're a notable person or not. That seems to be the criteria they use. So I got the
like
result
a public
back.
persona,
Yeah.
They said that I was a notable person, so therefore they can't take it down. And the other difficult thing is that you can't write on your own Wikipedia page,
right?
And so it's a problem.
Well, you could. I mean, it's hard for them to prove who's writing on their own.
I think you can do that, but also I think over the years, it's all being kind of corrected now. So there's loads of mistakes in the first drafts of it all, and I think generally speaking, my page is kind of generally accurate now.
Well, you could write on your own. In fact, I remember when a bunch of people from Fox News got in big trouble for changing their Wikipedia pages and changing the Wikipedia pages of like Barack Obama and stuff like that. And but there's never been. You're not supposed to be anonymous on Wikipedia. And when they ran the search for these IP addresses, they're all coming from the same building, and it's the Fox News headquarters. Like, how sickening is that? They're like truly caught red-handed on a misinformation campaign. Like, what the hell? And they're still in business. It's
I mean, that guy has just been. See, that's a breakthrough thing that's happened in the US. That guy who denied the school shooting, and he's had to pay $35 million to the family because he denied the shooting. Yeah, but it's like, is that an infringement on free speech?
Well, here's the thing about that. In order to collect anything and win those types of settlements, you have to prove damages. And so what he did was not only to deny it, he didn't just deny it happened. He said it was perpetrated hoax by the family members, by those parents. So then all of the loonies who follow these types of people like Alex Jones went to these parents. Now imagine you've just lost your children in one of the at the time the bloodiest shooting in American history, and now people are coming to your house and shooting up your house, keying your car. They would sabotage them and go to their work. People were harassing them because of this guy Alex Jones and the shit that he was, this vile, evil shit that he was spewing. So yeah, this definitely crosses the ideas of freedom of speech.
I mean, this is the line that I draw for free. Someone says to me, "What do you think about free speech?" And I think, well, there's a line, and it coincides with common law in the UK, and it's not to cause harm or loss to any other human. So if anything you say causes harm or loss to another human being, that's where you've crossed the line. That's where it's no longer free speech.
But also if it's untrue. That's the first line should be if you're lying, right? And he was knowingly lying. And that's why his texts and some of these other things that came out during his this process, that's what also showed that he knowingly lied. He was rabble rousing. He was getting people to commit crimes for what? For ratings and money. So like, yeah, he crossed several lines before they awarded him the $30 million, which is like, I think it came out to like $40 million after the two settlements, which is still nothing. They say.
Do you think it was a surprise to him, the decision? Do you think he wasn't expecting it? Because surely, I mean, even if I did have a lot of money in the bank, to lose 35 million, I would have done damage limitation a lot earlier than he actually did.
Well, he can still appeal, and people saying that he might be up for 150 million once this thing is all done. But truthfully, it'll ruin him and his brand, and hopefully
for some people, 35 million is not enough. But
do you know what question I've got? Will this give a precedent to all the animal agricultural food companies that are pushing lies like milk is essential for healthy bones in children and that protein does that open a precedent for us to stop this misinformation?
I wish it would, but I mean, if that were true, then they would have done it with cigarettes. If cigarettes, they knowingly lied. They said it was good. Choosy doctors choose Kent cigarettes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
thalidomide was another example.
Right.
There's a brilliant book called Suffer the Children by the Sunday Times Insight team. But, here's a question for the panel as we've got now, which is when there's those people that you're talking about here and people like Trump and people like Boris Johnson or whatever in the world, this always seems to me to be an impediment to the idea of ever getting a vegan world, because it just seems that in a vegan world these people cannot be, and so therefore how can we get to it from where we are now? It's always been a problem for me, because it saddens me whenever you see these shitheads doing these horrible things. You're thinking, well, there's another blow to veganism.
But we say, because they say the same things about any social justice movement. The same thing happened with civil rights. As Johnson signs in civil rights, what do we have? We have Nixon, right? And it was entirely a backlash for civil rights in this country. Democrats signed it in and lost the Southern vote forever. Like the Democrats have never gotten it back. So yeah, along the way, as these hegemonic structures start crumbling, they'll grasp harder for power, but they're still losing it. It's sand that's falling through their fingers. I think the same thing with veganism. They'll fall. What is my thumb? Don't forget to like the stream. To give them a thumbs up.
Thumbs up, y'all.
Like if I totally agree. It feels disheartening when someone like Trump or Boris Johnson rise to power. But to me, especially with Trump, maybe not so much with Boris. Boris is a bit more.
He's a poor man's Trump, is Boris.
Yeah, but Trump, I think a truly evil man. He is definitely our last 50s guy after Biden's finally done. But these guys are going away. These old 50s white guys. Of course they're holding tighter onto the power that they still have. They don't want to lose it to these women
and the orange ones, Sky.
They what?
And the orange ones as well as the white ones.
Right, the orange ones, yeah. Yeah.
You see, the thing is though. I mean, I went on holidays to Cuba, and in that country,
stop rubbing it in for.
I'm going to keep rubbing it in until it's a distant memory.
I've always wanted to go.
But what I'm trying to say is that
carbon footprint.
It's so far behind. They only just know what vegetarianism is, and they're so far behind. So when we talk about this vegan world, that is just like visiting that country has made me realise that how far behind some countries are and how big a task there is in front of us moving forward.
That kind of surprises me, Dan, because like when Anthony Bourdain went to Cuba and did his show there, his handler was coincidentally a vegan. And he's like, well, hardly anybody's like that here. And that was, before he died, obviously. So, I mean, it was, I don't know. Do you think just because an isolated island country isn't going as quickly as we'd like, an intentionally isolated island nation?
Yeah, I get that. But what I'm saying is that it's not isolated, is it? There's lots of countries like that who are so sort of. Turkey is another one. Although Turkey are moving forward, you can get vegan food in Turkey.
Turkey outlawed vegan cheese, yeah. But they also outlawed being Kurdish, didn't they? And they managed to sneak into into NATO. I mean, the Turkish have always had human rights violations. Why wouldn't they have animal rights violations? These countries that have always been a bit far behind. We need to drag them kicking and screaming into the future. I went to Llandudno and found that hard for veganism. If you don't know, Sky, Llandudno is like it's like a Chava resort in Wales. I'm a vegan vlogger. No offense there, but it's like a resort is. What is
it's like a Blackpool. It's like a poor man's holiday destination.
It's a very nice place, and it's also called Llandudno. Not
it's like Faulty Towers. It's like Faulty Towers. This is the English Riviera.
No, that's the south coast. That's Torquay. But it's like it's a holiday. It's a holiday seaside. Put a handkerchief on your head, sit on a deck chair, put your windbreak around you, sit on the sand. Yeah,
Llandudno is quite nice. I mean, have you ever been to the top of the Great Orme? It's brilliant.
Yeah,
there.
I'm not saying it's not nice, Roger.
But apparently no vegan food.
Oh, we hit a nerve with Roger there with Llandudno.
Well, I used to live near there, so.
But before you
Llandudno.
You're pronouncing it wrong.
Hope.
You're pronouncing it all wrong. It's Llandudno.
You're pronouncing like an English person, you swine.
I am English, so but I'm also 20% Welsh, so I can't.
Swine. I love that Roger just used an animal insult. That's my favorite. That's my favorite thing to happen now on this stream, because if Roger can get away with it, then I should be able to get away with it too.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you look at the definition of swine, it's probably got several definitions not connected to what you would call hogs.
I'm not falling for that, Roger. I didn't actually slip up. It was actually blah, 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 blah. Yeah, exactly. Slither out of this.
Do you know what I researched yesterday? It was just something.
If you want to borrow one.
It was something my wife said. Right, I don't know why I've got a comb. It was something my wife. She went. Why? There's an advert on TV at the moment, and it shows this. It's not a real. It's CGI pig. And this guy, and he's got a bag full of money, and he said, "Why did we start using pigs as banks?" And I looked into why we have piggy banks, and one of the theories is that we used to make money pots to save money to make a slot out of pig clay, PYGE, and it was a red clay. It was a red clay, and we used to make a pot with a slot so we could put money in and not get it out unless we smashed it. And that's the reason we've got piggy banks, because it was made from piggy clay. So yeah. Oh, what's this? What's this? Adult dating site. Block user. Get away.
Aren't all dating sites adult?
Again, have you, Dan?
But I like the idea of pig, because pig iron is something that we talk about here in historical context, and it was also PYG. So I wonder if pig just meant like an amalgam, because it was like the waste iron that you would turn into other things. Pig iron. Like
have I got any?
What?
People on who can block any of these coming up, please.
Joanna says it's bots.
I think it has to be you, won't it, Dan, to do that?
Oh man, no, yeah, but it's not the sort of porn I look at.
I love that. Not your mom. Andy says he finally felt wanted and you blocked them. I think they're blocked already.
They just keep coming up.
No,
I can't see the chat.
No, they're done. There's only
have they gone?
Now.
Have they all gone?
Yeah, they're all gone. There's four or five in here, but like I don't think there's more coming.
I can still see them.
I finally felt wanted, and you blocked them.
Oh wow! Don't say that.
But Dan, like what you were saying about hope, like it's interesting because you see these examples of where it's not catching on or taking root. But at the end of the day, of course, there's places where it hasn't touched yet. But more and more people are living in cities. More and more people are living with technology, and as that technology expands and we're able to access more information, people are going vegan. I mean, it's growing. It's clearly growing, and it's mostly because of the access to information. I'm sure in China there's going to be a big problem because they don't have the information we have. They're not even allowed to have it.
So yeah, this is something I want to touch on as well with everybody here, and people in the chat as well. Is it still amazes me how many people do not know about vegan philosophy in the UK. Just in the UK, I'm not going to speak for any other country. How many people don't actually know or are aware of veganism in the UK? And Roger's a big advocate for this. And I think, again, we need to emphasize how much we need to go and speak to the public. Don't assume just because we've got the internet, just because we've got lots of people on YouTube spreading the word, and on all the other social media sites that everybody's getting access and everybody knows, because they don't. It's absolutely fucking amazing how many people have no idea about veganism. So we all need to get active.
I had a couple of people come in my live, one today and a couple the live I did before, saying, what is a vegan?
That happens every time I go live. Can you tell me the difference between a vegetarian, plant-based, and vegan? I get that question every day.
Really?
One advantage is the fact that people actually are able to say vegan now, whereas 10 years ago it was still a bit of a struggle for a lot of people. So there is kind of progress. But I mean, it's interesting because some of the influencers, let's call them, have kind of claimed that veganism didn't really exist until they came on board, and then
So Kim
suddenly there's a big
Kardashian,
explosion and everything. But the real problem with that is that, going back to what Dan just said, is the fact that a lot of people are coming on and saying, "Well, I'm vegan now for 6 months, and I'd never heard of the word until then." And so it's still the same problem. And I suppose it's to do with things like advertising, because I've always made the point that if you think about a corporation that never needs to advertise, it would be McDonald's, and yet they do it every day. And the reason for that is repetition, because
Right.
that's what, and it's visibility. And so that's what advertising is based on. You've got to keep putting yourself in front of people, and you've got to do it repetitively. And so if you go to a radio show or listen to a radio station, you're getting the same adverts over and over again. You might listen to the same advert 20 times if you listen to a radio show one day. And it's all about repetition, and it's about visibility, and it's about...
Well, that's why it feels like they're winning, right? Because, I mean, in America, they say that the average person sees between 5 and 10 advertisements for fast food. And that is a problem because of our obesity issues here, but also I think because of animal rights issues, right? So how do we combat that, though, Rob?
Well, you don't get adverts for vegetables, though, do you, Sky?
No, exactly right. Or even things like, you know how I feel about Beyond. Everyone knows how I feel about Beyond and Impossible. So like, even that, you don't hear ads for those things. But when you do, like it's Kim Kardashian say it, I think that's how they get the big kind of firework moments, right? That's how we do it. We have to try to do it that way instead of doing it repetitively.
By the way, Sky, I'm 98% vegan most of the time.
Most of the time, but I'm gonna have some chicken right now. But so, what do you say to that though, Roger? That repetition seems to be effective, but our resources aren't on par with what they're doing in the fast food industries and for these things. So, how do we? Is it sufficient to have spokespeople like, as controversial as they may seem, like Kim Kardashian and these and who's the other guy? It doesn't matter. These big names pop up and say, "Okay, I'm vegan," and I'm
so famous you don't even know what they're called.
I can't think of him right now. It's a little black dude that's always with The Rock. What's his name?
Oh, yeah, Kevin Hart.
Yes, Kevin Hart. Right.
He turned up at a Cube of Truth in Manchester, and somebody,
Really?
and a Polish girl who I know, who was at the vigil this morning, actually did outreach to him and didn't even know who he was until he'd gone. And then someone said, "Do you know that's a world famous comedian?" I'm like, oh man, you missed the opportunity.
Yeah, and he's a plant-based comedian, right? He's just and he's a spokesperson for Beyond Meat.
Well, I'd never heard of him, so there you go. That's the problem.
So, what are your views on Beyond Meat, Sky?
Well, I think that that it's not a vegan organization or a vegan agenda item. I think.
So what does that matter?
Not at all, except that when people start telling me that vegan food isn't good, I tried vegan meat and it wasn't good, or things like that. But what's that? I think
grumpy today.
He's grumpy. He's grumpy vegan granddad.
Grumpy granddad.
No, what's wrong with it? Nothing. I guess what's wrong with it is that they employ people like Kim Kardashian who say things like "I'm 98% vegan" and are now the spokesperson for Beyond Meat. That's problematic, right? There's issues there, but at the same time, I don't see Beyond being part of the vegan movement.
I mean, is there issues there, or is there just issues with people like us?
There's issues. There's
is
issues.
it really an issue, or is it just because we are in our stage of veganism?
I would put forth that appropriation is always an issue, and when you appropriate a word that I recognize myself with, I do take umbrage with that. I have a problem with it because if you call yourself vegan and you're not, it's an issue. You're not 98% vegan. You're 98% plant-based, or whatever the hell you might be, Kim Kardashian. But you're using my word and my movement and things that I care about, and it's a problem for me because veganism is about noticing that animals are not products and that they're individuals, that they have rights. That is not something Kim Kardashian is all about. So why is she calling herself 98% vegan? Right. So that's it. That is problematic. Now, is it the question is, do the ends justify the means, or in a cost benefit analysis, who comes out on top? right? Maybe
Is Kim Kardashian reaching people that would never come into contact with the word or
well,
the
there we
idea?
go.
And
the,
will the numbers game like I used to do in the clubs in the 80s is like ask 1,000 girls for a date, and in the whole that just 1% would say yes, and
999.
I mean,
and that
I
Would
mean,
that be winning,
Michael
Danny?
Slack says 2% animal abuser. Yeah, I mean, I do
Right.
agree. I do agree. I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate. Right?
2%
But-
child molester. I let
Yeah.
98 kiddos can walk free, but I need that 2% to get my rocks
Yeah,
off.
but
That's a
I
ridiculous
yeah, but
statement.
I did way less than everybody else, so it's okay.
Right,
Like
right.
a little's all right.
And there's something I think even Roger will admit that there's number in the numbers game. Maybe there's some validity to that logic, but there still need to be those waving the flag and saying, wait a second. Our mission, our morals, and our values, and the lessons of veganism are not that. That is
You see,
something.
I mean,
That's true, though. That's the key to this, in the sense that I think Impossible or Beyond had said that, look, we don't really care what vegans think too much about our product because it's not aimed at them, which is true, you know, and they're not making it for us. They're making it for the reducitarians.
Right.
And the
Or
reducitarian
transitioning.
argument.
Say what?
Yeah,
Or
The
those who are
reducitarian
transitioning.
yeah, the reducitarian argument is that it's better to have a million reducitarians than having a few vegans. And so, in some senses, kind of mathematically, to do the math, as you would call it, Sky, it kind of fits. You can see what they mean by that. The only problem I have to kind of tap into
I mean, sorry to interrupt, but that sounds like do you pull the lever and save one person, or do you save the 3 people on the train tracks?
Well, that's
It's
the proposition, isn't it? That's what they're
we've
saying.
got a utilitarian movement, though, Dan.
Right, and the utilitarian movement isn't the vegan movement, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not about can I save. I guess like it's
Well, they
not
connected
about
somewhere along the line, surely.
Well, I don't think
utilitarian
so.
and veganism is you look at. I don't know.
I don't think so, because like, for example, if a
Staying
pig
quiet.
can if a pig's heart can save a man, I don't think the pig's life should be forfeit just because the man needs it. What the man's done in his life and needs a heart, it has got nothing to do with the pig. There's no connection for me there.
Unless
except
it's your father or it's your son.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't
Or
know.
your
If that's a
mother,
personal.
you know,
that's-
Pig, though, Danny.
These
Still
these
got
are,
nothing to do with the pig. I mean,
no,
it's not,
yeah, of course.
it's not the pig's fault that humans get into
no.
problems, right?
Right.
No,
the
not
human
at all.
the human problems are not the animal's problem. And I guess like that would be the utilitarian. And I don't know about like how I would feel if it's someone I cared about. I'd like to say that it wouldn't be the case. But at least I guess you could say that about a lot of things. You could say I'm against the death penalty, but if my girlfriend got killed, I'd want to kill the guy who did it, right? I mean, that is why we have rules, laws, morals, values, and what we stand
Yeah, but
by.
Guy,
so
I
that
mean, we've already seen that. I mean, one of my vegan time tunnels was about Neil Lee, and he
Yes.
refused pain-killing medication on the grounds that he knew about the testing regime that it was involved. And so it's not just a question of, if it's a relation of mine, it's kind of, well, if it was me, what would you do? And there's been quite a few vegans historically who've refused treatment, and therefore presumably
I mean, there's a lot of stories about Jehovah's Witnesses refusing blood transfusions for the children in hospitals, and hospitals have had to abide by that.
Is that the same? Is that the same? I mean, that's for religious reasons, isn't it?
Yeah, I know it's for religious reasons, but I mean,
There's still a value that they hold.
what I'm saying,
Roger.
what I'm saying is that it shows that people are willing to, for their beliefs, to go that extra mile. What I'm trying to say is, would we be so quick to sort of condemn using the pig's heart if it was one of our relatives?
Maybe not, but that's why you have laws. I mean, that's why we have rules, and why we have to have, as a culture, these values that we stand by. I mean, again, with death penalty, it's the same thing. Everyone's against the death penalty until their child is murdered, right? But that's why, as a culture, we have to say no. We're against that, because the individual can't be trusted with that responsibility.
What somebody like Tom Reagan would say is that these kind of examples in extremis, in a kind of emergency kind of terrible situation, shouldn't be extrapolated to the norm anyway. And so therefore,
Yeah.
even though you might get that situation where you think that I'm gonna break the rule here, because that shouldn't then just become the norm. And so like Gary Francione once told me that society makes us be utilitarian sometimes. I mean, like spray and neuter of so-called pets is one example of that. But that doesn't mean that you're suddenly utilitarian. It's just that you're forced into it. So that's the difference, I think.
I mean, but we are sort of exposed to these extremist ideas when we're talking to non-vegans. And I think that mentality is just out there on either side of the argument.
Well, non-vegans tend to be selfish, though, don't they? I mean, if you look at their arguments, it's usually about themselves, about their taste, it's about their preferences and all this kind of stuff. And they don't seem to have the mettle to impose morality between their desire and what they want.
No, and when they get onto those moral arguments, they generally crumble, or they'll appropriate other people's kind of get out of jail free cards, like indigenous people. They'll appropriate those arguments, or I had someone on mine on my Twitter go out to tell me that, well, what about food deserts? Well, the answer is only, do you live in a food desert? Like, this has nothing to do with why are you talking about food deserts? Like, there's no reason to even bring up food deserts, because we're not even at this. If we're talking about now we've have a vegan world and now we have to fine tune it. Okay, let's talk about food deserts. Not that we shouldn't be getting rid of food deserts.
The truth is that all moral agents can be vegan in the sense that they can understand what veganism is, and then once they've done that, they can adhere to its precepts. Once they've done that, it's a question then of whether they're capable or in a situation where they can align what they do with their, taken on board philosophy. But in terms of the taken on board philosophy, everybody can do that if they can understand morality.
Yeah, I think that there's an inherent sense of morality, though, isn't there, Roger? Like, if we were in an ice age and we all had to start hunting animals just to survive, I think we might do so for as long as we had to, until we could figure out how to grow some shit. Because I think that'd be the first thing.
Yeah, that's
inherently.
what I'm saying. Isn't it? I'm saying the same as you.
Yeah, I wonder, though, if it's I don't know, a moral agent being capable of making moral decisions. I think that's just inherent, and what's happening is that people are being indoctrinated by they've been colonized. I think when people talk about decolonizing thoughts, we should start with religion and diet and start there. Like, I don't know what else they're talking about when they say decolonizing your brain and shit like that. I don't know what it means until we start with diet and religion.
Let me just interrupt now. We've been on for 1.5 hours now, guys. We're going to wrap up in about 10-15 minutes. I'm going to put in the link if you want to join, if you've got something to say. Have we prompted you to have an extreme sort of reaction to what we're saying?
Come
jump
Andrew,
on. You don't have to.
You will.
You don't have to show. I've got something to say. Can I talk about Cuba again, guys?
No, you bloody can't.
I heard it's lovely.
I'm going to talk about Cuba. So
I'm going. See you later.
On the latter part of our holiday,
where's your cigar?
I've got some. I've got some in my cupboard actually.
Yeah,
I've been drinking more. I've been drinking more Heatols for
Well,
7 days.
can't you get them
now.
there? Can't you get Cuban cigars in England anymore?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, of course you can.
Did you not
but-
get a virgin to roll it on a thigh?
No,
we
it's-
can't buy them. We can't buy them here. We have to go down to Mexico to buy them.
So basically, what
Metaphor.
happened was the last 5 days of my holiday, we got friendly with a Canadian family. There was the
Easy
father,
to do. Those
the
Canadians
mother,
are friendly.
yeah, but he was a fisherman, and he brought 2 fishing rods with him.
Oh, this is
And
brilliant. This is
we-
brilliant, guys.
We had a conversation with him. He's called
So
Joe.
where did you bury him, Dan?
No, listen, it's really cool, this. So I had a conversation with him. I told him I was vegan, and I told him all about it, and I told him I was against what he does. I said, look, Joe, let's just get it in the pan here. I said, I'm happy to like have a drink with you and everything. I haven't got a problem with you personally. I'd like to know your thoughts on this after, actually. But I don't agree with you fishing.
Was he funny with you as soon as you said?
No,
"I don't
he
agree
wasn't
with it,
funny
I'm
with me at
vegan"?
all. He was great. He was such a lovely guy, right? He was such a lovely guy. But the next day, after I'd had this conversation with him, I said, let's leave it here. I don't like you fishing. I don't want to be associated with you fishing. If I see you fishing, I'll try and scare the fish away. And he started laughing. And I said, that's what I'll do. I'll try and scare the fish away. I'll splash in the sea. I'll do anything, scare the fish away. And then I was sat with his wife the next morning. We were having a coffee together. And I said, did you hear the conversation I had with your husband? She went, yeah, really interested. I said, can I ask you a question? She went, sure. I said, if I told you now that at home in England, I breed dogs and then I boot them around and put them in dog fights and really abuse them, would you be my friend on this holiday? And she wouldn't answer. She wouldn't answer me. And I said, and that's how I feel about your husband, you know?
No difference.
It's like, there's no difference completely.
Were you having coffee in bed?
No, we wasn't having coffee in bed. No, we was having a Cuban stick. No,
and then with his wife.
Yeah, with his wife. After I got him. You know, as really, I just sort of go through the wife. Always go through the wife.
Yeah, you always go through the wife, indeed.
Were you smoking a cigarette at the
Why
time?
rephrase that, Danny?
So
But
your
again-
husband,
But again, what do you feel about befriending people who? I mean, Roger, if you met someone on a holiday and you got on with them, you had a great time, and then you found out that he was a hunter, what would your reaction be? What would you do?
You'd see
Bullet
it
to
as
the head.
on the one side of it, you'd see it as an educational opportunity, but at the other side, you'd have in mind the fact that you're not dealing with that individual; you're dealing with a culture. You're dealing with a culture in which the majority of people would agree with that person to a large extent, and so
So you wouldn't push that friend away. You wouldn't say, right, look, I can't associate with you. I cannot have a drink with you. I cannot be civil to you.
I think you could say, look,
I think Roger
it's
would be the
hard for me
friendly
because,
vegan.
and see if they can kind of meet you halfway and say, look, this is difficult for me because, and see whether that resonates with them. But at the same time, you're understanding the fact that they're probably not quite understanding where you're coming from, because in cultural speciesism, which is the dominant ideology of society, why kind of will they really understand the vegan? Because they've got all kind of mythologies in their heads about us. That they got stereotypes about us and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But so if you can kind of connect with them as a human to human kind of person, you might be able to then bridge that gap. And so you're probably feeling bad about doing it. You're thinking, should I be doing this or not? It's a little bit like the Liberation Pledge, that kind of thing. And you're thinking, to what extent should I do that? I know a playwright who said that, look, I'm not going to sit with a speciesist in the same way as I wouldn't sit with a child pornographer. And so you can understand that argument. At the same time, you're in society dealing with people that you meet. And then it's a question of, well, how do I orient myself towards them? Am I aggressive? Am I dismissive? Do I just push them away? Or do I explain my situation?
Yeah, but I mean, a child abuser, it wouldn't be the same. I don't like these comparisons, because what these people are doing in their heads and by the societies they live in are doing nothing wrong whatsoever. In fact, they're being normal, and we're the ones not normal. So,
but they're still exploiting the innocent for pleasure.
Yeah, of course they are. But so, what's your view, Sky? How would you react to that situation? Laura, you're next. Laura, you're next. Wait your turn. Etiquette.
This is where the pragmatist comes out in me. I mean, I still have to work. I still have to be around people that aren't vegan, and I make it clear that I am. I think I'm with Dan on this. I don't know if I would be. I don't know if I'd be banging his wife like Dan was, but I think I would. But I would make clear my position. And
what happens in Cuba stays in Cuba, my friend.
I think I would certainly make my views known. Just like everyone I work with knows where I'm at right now, right? They all know that I'm online with you, and they know that what I do every morning, and they are careful what they say around me, probably because of that, right? How hard do I want to push them? Do I want to push them away? How do you always make it an issue? I guess would be the thing. I don't sit, but they also know that I don't sit with them when they eat meat. I won't sit at the same table with them. So there's different.
That's different. I will.
Yeah,
I
well, I get suckered into it sometimes. It's happened where like I'm on the road and something will happen, and I thought we were going to a vegan restaurant and there was a meat restaurant next door, and then someone came in, or like I'll position myself so I'll be like, okay, we're going to a vegan restaurant, or I'm not going to eat with you guys, and then something else has happened. That's happened before, but as like a rule, I don't sit down with people eating meat, because I don't want to fucking be around it.
But you socialize with people who are not vegan. Yeah, so
of course I do.
Yeah, sometimes you got to. What about you, Laura? You're on holiday. You meet up with someone. You're having a great time. You get drinks, and then you find out they're a dairy farmer. What would you do?
First of all, I'd have to go to the bathroom, powder my nose, take some deep breaths, and think, how am I going to approach this in a calm?
What's your nose got to do with it, Laura?
Well,
it'd stop her looking like you, mate. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I walked into that one, didn't I?
Yeah, you certainly did.
Like an open book.
You walked into something with your nose, yeah.
Oh, poor Roger, bless him.
Well, we should put sunscreen on. He's only got himself to blame. He's a big boy now.
You should know.
I guess, Dan, I don't think I socialize with non-vegans at all. I have to work with them, I would say, and I'm friendly with the people I work with. But I don't like my friends, old friends that I've had that are not vegan. Once you see the chickens going into the macerator, if you aren't making some big life changes, then I'm sorry, then you can't be my friend anymore. And I've given up having friends that aren't vegan.
I'm with you on this, Sky. I mean, the most non-vegans that I've interacted with in recent years has been academics and people I play football with. But the point is, I mean, actually, my playing football with them has been a great form of vegan advocacy in the sense that some of the people have said to me things like, "Oh, you know, they end up in a bunch of people and they're going, oh, those vegans, you know, are weak and everything." And you go, hang on a second. You know, I play football with somebody who's like twice my age and he's fitter than I am and this kind of stuff. Yeah. But the other part of that is, the other side of that is, I don't socialize with them because they have, you know, Christmas parties and stuff. And
yeah, I don't do that. Yeah.
And my attitude to that is that I don't really want to get to know the people I play football with because I know that I won't like them.
It did disappoint me. And the other thing though, if I go like last year I was invited to a Christmas party and I went and I brought some vegan food. It was like a potluck. And then I didn't have a good time because just going for a piss up with non-vegans and getting in arguments about this and why am I not eating that? Why am I not eating that? I'm not having a good time. The only thing now my activism is really a burden.
It's the argument with yourself that's a problem too, isn't it? Because, you know, why am I here? You know, that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Why did I even come? Right, exactly. And the only excuse now is that, okay, well, I need to say as much as I can to all these assholes who are doing this. Well, that's not a celebration anymore, is it? Like I think that's, I don't know, commendable, I suppose. But going to a Christmas party and being the asshole isn't really.
That's not a great form of outreach either, because you know that you know that's not the time anyway, and so therefore you're thinking, why am I here? And also, I can't have a go at them because it's not the appropriate time. This is just really, so it ends up stressing you out more than anything else. And those people are totally innocent of all this in the sense that they don't even know that you're going through this turmoil.
Yeah, they're just having a party and they invited you because they thought it'd be nice, you know. And
Well, going back to the meeting people on holiday though.
Yeah,
in Cuba.
I'll just meeting people at a social event, Roger, like a football, like piss up or whatever.
I wouldn't go to the piss up though, Danny. I'd play the football, but not go to the piss up.
Yeah, but I mean, again, you seem to be missing opportunities, and it just seems like a real oxymoron that you preach about getting grassroots activism going and speaking to people on a level, yet when you get an opportunity to mix in with people and show people that you're a normal human being who enjoys the same things as them, you sing the same football.
There's intermediate yourself. Yeah, I understand that, Dan, but there's intermediate kind of senses in the sense that we chat before the game, we chat afterwards. They all know that I'm vegan. They talk about my veganism. They I was talk. I mean, one guy in the last team I've been playing with, it had actually Jane in his name, and so I asked him about that, and he's a lifelong vegetarian and this kind of stuff, and he was of the opinion that a lot of Janes have, which is that they die if they didn't have dairy and this kind of stuff. But it's the actual kind of going somewhere as a social event that I have.
But again, it's like, to me, this just screams of like, veganism is all right, but look at that fucking Roger Yates. Every time we go somewhere, he pisses off and goes and sits at home and does his knitting. It's like, that view of veganism again is being distorted into some sort of fringe thing.
Knit them new shorts though, Danny. So
Yeah, right. That's what I was going to say.
I want some knitted swimming trunks. That's what I want. Knitted swimming trunks. Do you see where I'm getting at, though?
That side of it, Danny. I don't know whether they're thinking, fucking hell, Yates. What the fuck's the matter with him?
Every time we have a social thing, he's gone.
I don't know
on his own.
I don't know whether they do that because there's a lot of people who don't go to the core kind of social things.
Yeah, I agree. But do you see the point I'm trying to get? Is like we're trying to normalize veganism. We're trying to make it normal.
I think I'm with Sky on this one. Is that I find it too conflicting to be able to really see it through. I think
because
it bugs me.
Go on, Laura.
Because the sheer amount of people, Roger. Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean?
No, it's just the situation. Is the fact that I've been a vegan a long time. I know what the score is. I've been a sociologist. I know what the culture is, and so therefore, I've got all these things bouncing around, and kind of like you think, well, on this level you should, and all, and then as a human, I just think, oh fuck it, I don't want to be with them.
Yeah.
I'm not a social pariah. I'm not a social pariah.
I'm not accusing you of anything, Danny. I'm not accusing you of a hero.
No, it was this comment, Roger. Roger, it was this comment I was reacting to.
Oh, okay.
Not you, mate. No, I agree with both sides because I haven't got a problem with whether Sky, Laura, or Roger, if they didn't do that and they didn't sit with it. I personally haven't got a problem. I'll go and sit in the restaurant where they serve animal body parts and lactation.
Well, I don't have a problem with that either, Danny. I mean, if you're able to do it, it's almost to do with. I mean, in Ireland now they've got this thing about I'm not able. Now, if you're able to do it, then that's grand. But if you're not, then you ought to not kind of put yourself through the.
Of course,
trauma.
yeah, I agree, mate. I agree totally. I'm only being devil's advocate.
From time to time, there's things that like I'm trying to go through my mind of all the times, like trying to live in Roger's shoes at the moment. And I'm like, I went out for beers with my workmates and they ordered burgers and it fucking bothered me, right? And I'm like, God damn it. Only one of them ordered a burger and the other one ordered a cheese quesadilla, right? So it's like, I didn't sign up for this. I did. If I'd been given notice, I wouldn't have sat down with them. And then there's this.
On that note, though, Sky, what really gets me is the sociology of it, in the sense that what you've got is when you interact with people like this, it's the fact that their speciesism is so easygoing. It just trips off their tongue. They don't even know. It's kind of like not an issue.
Of course they don't. Of course they don't, though.
Yeah, and I know that, but it's like a punch in the face. Yes. And I know I've got a face, apparently, according to Sky, that is.
I've got the punchable face.
But the point is their easygoing speciesism, which is a series that I've talked about for years. The easygoing nature of it is a real problem, in the sense that you can understand it intellectually, and I can understand it as a sociologist culturally. It's just that it's a kind of like it's a knife to the throat every time.
Yeah, it is. It's a gut punch and a disappointment. That's the other thing is you kind of like these people, don't you? And you're like,
it's kind of like, no, please don't say that. Yeah.
I mean, I remember it's the same as
like when I used to go out with people to a social event. You can guarantee that after a while, some guy is going to do something fucking terrible or say something horrible to a woman, and it spoils it for me.
Totally.
Always
I used to be in a band I was in a punk rock band in Virginia. We did a couple tours, and the people who would open with us for us and be around these bands that I enjoyed. I'm like, oh, I love your music and all these things. And then out of nowhere, you're getting drunk. You know, you're doing whatever you're doing as a band, and someone drops the N-bomb, and someone says the N-word, and it's like it blows your hair back. And now I can never see, they've crossed the Rubicon, and I can never look at them the same way again. That
Yeah.
person.
it's worse than that because we're social animals, Sky, and that means that when somebody does that, it's like when somebody says a racist joke.
Right,
You're
that's what I
there-
mean.
Yeah, I know that, but then you've got your own reaction to it, but then you're looking around at everybody else's reaction to it. And you've then got to negotiate that situation, right?
Yeah.
And it can be very difficult because a lot of people say, oh, well, if anybody says anything racist, I'm going to call them out each and every time. But in actual fact, we tend not to do that because we tend to kind of like case by case, oh, well, let that one slide and stuff. But
there's
we
a fear
tend
there
to think
too. There's
we
a
wouldn't
fear
do
that you'll become the social pariah if you do. I mean, no one wants to be the pariah. I don't think I'm a pariah. I think that I willfully neglect my social obligations. I think there's a big difference. People still obligate me. They still oblige me to to do all these fucking things like join this Christmas parties and things like that. I'm constantly invited to shit.
That's them just being social animals. They're not doing it for you. They're doing it. Yeah.
But that makes I'm not a pariah. It's not like I'm cut out of those things. People don't go, oh, don't invite the vegan. I'm more like, I don't want to go because I don't want to deal with all you chumps that I don't want to be with the lemmings going over the cliff.
Well, on the opposite side of the coin, right? What about this? I've been to on set of something, and every sort of like after the day filming, did get pizzas in, right? And then one day they made a special effort and they got all vegan pizzas, and that sort of thing. If I was pushing myself out of the circle every time, that was a beautiful thing. Because obviously they'd all thought about it. They'd made the effort and they'd done this just for me. And I think that's a beautiful gesture. And it's a really heartwarming gesture. And it shows that people are actually thinking about you as a person.
And it does give me hope. And you were the one being less hopeful than me earlier. But it gives me hope that things like that still happen. But I think overwhelmingly that is not the case. And you're constantly having to do this dance. It's a dance. I mean, I guess.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. Literally,
you're back. I think that dance is an important one to learn, and I think when people ask me, like, well, does it get easier to be a vegan when you're older and you've been doing it for a while? I think that dance becomes a little more. I think someone like Roger, and to a lesser degree myself, I think we're more able to spot those social obligations that we need to overcome, and the other ones we just need to be like, fuck it, we're not going.
Do you know something though? I mean, this comment here from Not Your Mum, Not Your Milk says, yeah, but I haven't ate with my family for 4 years now. We do our things when it comes to birthdays, etc. It's sad, I guess, but it's much better than how it was before too. But I wouldn't say that's you're not being a good vegan if you do go and. I mean, first of all, 2 questions for you, Not Your Mum, Not Your Milk. How old are you? And second question is...
I think he's 42. I know.
He's not. He's 35.
No, he isn't. No, he's not. He's 35. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry, I got Benny and Andy mixed up. See, this is my thing with all these monikers. This is Andy, not Benny. Sorry. I thought it was Benny.
So is it because you can't stand the thought of sitting with somebody while they eat animal body parts, or is it because... Of the fact that you think it's not vegan to do such a thing? So, please answer what your view is on that. Excuse me. Oh, Roger's disappeared. Well, that's a good thing.
Well, Andy's
nose was like dazzling me. You know what I mean?
I don't want to speak for him.
Speak now?
Yeah, of course you can speak.
If you can maintain your internet.
Yeah.
Like you like old women. No, anyway.
Cut her off.
I have the power. Go on.
Thank you. What I was going to say was going back to when, we're still on the subject of eating with family. My good wife and daughter, went to a 21st birthday party with for our nephew. and my niece came up to me and said, knowing full well I'm vegan, and Lindsay, just said basically, oh God, I'm really sorry, we've got vegetarian, but we haven't got anything for vegans. I was fuming, and there was like 100 people there. I was so fuming. So I had to leave the party, traipse up the road. I got there in like 2 seconds. I was fuming. I was like, Then I bought some higgledy no pork pies. I was literally like that. I was fuming.
You was marching up the road.
I was literally, honestly, I was fuming.
I was fuming.
So fuming.
How many syllables is in that word? I was fuming.
I was so angry. So I got some ready-made salad, some no pork higgledy pies, some hummus and some carrot sticks and a few other bits. And I just sat there. And by the time I'd got back, everybody had finished eating. So that, like, I walk in the door with a bag from the store, and literally, like, I walk in and like the door literally goes, and everyone goes. So then I sit down. Like, we sit down as a family with paper plates, and everyone's like,
oh,
I almost went home. I was fucking angry.
But see, that's how I would just been like, fucking, I'm not. Yeah, all right, then count me out. Like, how hard is, like.
But I'm glad you did that. I'm glad you did that. That was a great gesture, though. That's the thing. That is what I call vegan activism. That is like just going, like, teaching them a lesson. That was like everybody in that room would have felt bad for what happened there because you did that. If you'd have just said, oh, okay, I won't eat then, it's like, yeah, fuck the vegan. Yeah, sorry. But because you did that, that was a bold statement, and I applaud you on that. That was a great way to do
Dan,
something.
Eating next to someone who isn't eating is very awkward. If you're on the hunger strike route, then you're definitely also making an impact. You're like,
I suppose so. Yeah, just.
And then they start rummaging through their cabinets, don't they? All their cupboards are open. I've got some crackers. Are these vegan?
Carrots, some
right. I have lettuce. They'll always do something. I mean, they'll start freaking out.
Oh, vegan soldier! You advocated for eggs on TikTok. What's all that about? I need to have a conversation with you.
Did he advocate for them?
Yeah, he said that eating eggs is okay. So I don't understand. If you want to just pop on, vegan soldier, and defend yourself, I'm just wondering whether it was parody, whether it was sarcasm. But yeah, I'd like to know your views on that, my friend.
A lot of people don't get sarcasm. This is a danger.
The link's there, mate. It's just in the chat now.
Yeah, Jack said it. It was a part of the conversation, which is a hypothetical that arose. So I don't know.
I thought it was. I don't know. I saw a screen recording of Jack saying that the eggs aren't sentient or something, and therefore.
Yeah. You've been caught to rights, Jack. Jack, you caught to rights.
I thought it was out of context. I saw a video. It was like a screen recording, but I thought it was out of context. Maybe, I don't know. I try not to.
Cow milk is not sentient either.
No, it is not. You
can join on your phone, Jack. You can phone on your phone on your data. We're not going to go on. We're only going to go on for 5 more minutes anyway. So if you want to jump on for the last 5 minutes, we're not going to grill you. We're going to roast you, but we're not going to grill you.
Well, don't speak for Laura. Let me at him. Let me at him. I was fuming. She's like Scrappy Doo. It's funny because we do tend to eat our own, don't we, when it comes to veganism, and we tend to turn on each other a little more quickly than I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, she's back in your hand.
Oh my God, so sorry.
She's like a bad cold.
I'm so Dan.
Yes, sir. Oh no, it's me. It's my show. Hold on a minute. Right. Okay. So Sky, I am going to wrap it up now because we're just about in 2 more minutes to be on the 2 hour. We've had over 20 people watching for the full 2 hours. So a big thank you to you
Thank you,
guys.
everybody.
That's
get a life,
amazing.
people. What's the matter with you?
Don't forget to
get
like,
live.
share, and
You should be
subscribe.
watching us, guys.
And to follow
So-
Vegan, of course.
Vegan, of course, on Instagram.
Shameless
Vegan,
plug.
of course, on TikTok. Vegan, of course, on Facebook, or is it Sky?
On Twitter, it's
Facebook.
Skyjack Morgan.
Skyjack Morgan on Twitter. Yeah.
Vegan.
Oh, the adult dating site is back. Come on, Michael, you're not quick enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, join me. And on Instagram, actually, Vegan, of course, CA for California. Because
And just before we go, Sky, just one more. Can you do your Scottish accent for this?
these
comment?
video
No,
streams
please don't. Please.
are good for exploring, discussing, and discussing. Isn't that how they say it? Discussing and explaining the intricacies of veganism.
Thank you all for such an interesting chat. Bye.
Yeah, you
Bye.
have to work on that a lot more.
I don't know. Dan sounded like
you do it
Captain Long John Silver. He sounded
I
like
always turn
yeah.
into pirate. I always turn into pirate.
Oi, Mr. Hawkins.
If you carry on, I'm a half a colour polis.
Happy
Yeah, the
treasure
police. Yeah, the police.
police.
August.
Yeah, the 5-0. Right,
Scottish
listen.
is the most beautiful accent ever. I love Scottish. It's right up there with
Thank
Welsh.
you. Thank you, Sky, for agreeing to do this. It's been a pleasure to have you on and learn a
pleasure was
little bit
mine.
more about you. I know you've got your own channel going strong now. It's building up. So please, people, go over to Sky's YouTube channel. Click on that subscribe button. He needs all the help he can.
I do. I haven't got like Coronation Street outlet. I haven't got that Coronation Street clout. You know, I'm just a lowly
that clout
vegan.
before Coronation Street. Don't you worry. It was just honesty. A big thank you to Roger. Please go on Roger's channel. Do you want to plug your channel, Roger?
Yeah, it's just YouTube, Roger Yates, I suppose.
God, you're so boring even when you like plug your own stuff. God, Roger. Learn to get a bit of charisma, for God's sake. And I love you, mate. I love you. I'm only joking. Laura.
Actually, on that note, though, I'm actually really bad at self-promotion. I'm really shit at it.
I heard you got a killer Wikipedia, though. I heard your Wikipedia is on point.
Wikipedia, yeah, it's totally, yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah, my
smashing
Wikipedia. Yeah, go and have a look at my Wikipedia, people.
Yeah.
It's really funny, you know, because people, I used to kind of get involved with conversations, and I was involved with AR Zone at the time, and the person who ran that was called Carolyn Bailey, and she would people would say things like, "Oh, you're just an ivory tower academic. I bet you've never done any activism in your life," and I used to go. Well, I went on a demonstration once in the 1980s, and they go, well, there you are then. And Carolyn used to contact me and said, why don't you just post your Wikipedia page? And I said, well, I just don't do that. I think I probably posted it on social media about 4 times ever, because it's just not something, and I'm just not good at, I'm not a kind of look at me kind of person in that sense.
You need to learn. We all need to be social media divas.
I'm just not good at it. No.
Look at Laura. She's great at it. Do you want to just plug your channels, Laura? And then we'll call it a day.
Oh, thank you, Dan. I'm just really on TikTok. I've got Facebook.
Animals.
Is that it, Laura? Come on.
Yeah.
TikToking for the animals.
Come on, give it some jazz hands. Let's
talking for the animals. Yeah, he asked for charisma and charm, and you went like, I'm just on TikTok, I guess.
Yes, I'm just on TikTok and Facebook.
I'm just on TikTok.
Yes.
I do it for the animals. And little Roger, I'm just on YouTube, I suppose. Jesus, guys.
Laura, I used to live in Birmingham, you know. I used to live in Washwood Heath at one point.
I am the friendly vegan. Follow me, but I keep getting banned, so I don't know how much longer I'm going to have.
Yeah, I'm Grumpy Vegan G-Dad now. I've had to change my name. But listen, guys, thank you for joining. Thanks for the interaction. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for joining, you guys. I've had a great time. And
live long and prosper, Dan.
Until the next one. Yeah.
I can't wait to talk more Star Trek with you.
Beam me up, Snotty. Beam me up.